everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucy and in today's video I am filming a autumn book haul. So it's been a while since I have filmed a book haul, and I usually try and do book hauls seasonally now just because I find it works a lot better, and it's interesting seeing what types of books I'm actually picking up when the seasons change. So I am sat next to the largest pile of books I've ever seen in my life, and we're just going to get started, you know, because otherwise we are going to be here all day. So get yourself a cup of tea, get yourself a coffee, whatever you would like, cozy up with a blanket, and I really hope you enjoy this video. So these are in no particular order, I've just grabbed these off my shelf, but we are starting with Kingdom of the Curse by Kerri Maniscalco. So I pre-ordered this book last year, I think, and I've been counting down the hot minutes until this book has been released. So this is the Waterstone special edition. It's got sprayed edges and it's got a signed book plate from Kerri. So I've already read this book, as a lot of you may know, because I've talked about it quite a lot on my channel recently. Basically, this was perhaps my favourite book of the year so far. I just thought it was completely worth the wait. This is actually the sequel to Kingdom of the Wicked. So I'm not really going to go too much into what this book is about, but the first book, Kingdom of the Wicked, is a dark fantasy novel set in historic Italy and is about a girl called Amelia who is a witch. And she discovers that her sister, her twin sister, has been murdered, and she has to basically team up with one of the 7 princes of hell to solve this murder. Let's just say this series is dark, delicious, absolutely incredible, all-time fave now, absolutely loved it, and this book was even better. So I pre-ordered this one. I need to check out when the next book is coming out because I'm obsessed, guys. I actually am obsessed. So this was of course a no-brainer. I had to pick this book up. Now another book I had to of course haul in this video was Midnight in Everwood, and this is by M.A. Kuzniar. So disclaimer, I do work for the publisher who publishes this book, and I actually did the publicity campaign for this book. So disclaimer out the way, I actually brought this book home from work with me because Midnight in Everwood is one of the most beautiful stories I have ever read. It is an adult retelling of the Nutcracker set in early 1900s Nottingham, and it features a character, Marietta, who wants to be a ballerina, even though she is kind of forced to marry and kind of live up to society's expectations of her as an aristocratic woman. But then she gets entranced into this kind of fairy tale land called Everwood, and she learns a lot about herself along the way. There is a romance in this, but basically this book is like the perfect winter, autumn vibe for a book. It is magical, the descriptions are sumptuous. I would honestly recommend it, and also look how gorgeous this book is. And even better, this is the indie edition, so independent bookshop edition. And inside the flap, look at this book, guys. Oh my god, it's just a thing of beauty. Obviously this book was free. I work for the publisher, so just a quick disclaimer there, but I'm so excited to reread this book. I'm gonna try and reread it around Christmas time because I just think it'll be perfect, you know. I'm so excited. Okay, so next book is a book that I've actually been sent from Angry Robot Books, and this is The Cabinet by Unsoo Kim. And I believe this is a translated work of fiction. So this was originally written in Korean and has been translated into English by Sean Lynn Halbert. So this actually won South Korea's most prestigious literary prize. And I don't really read much translated fiction, but I really want to get started. This is almost science fiction-esque because it's a very speculative novel. It's about someone who actually is an office worker, and their job is to kind of look after this filing cabinet. And this filing cabinet has cases of these people who have been showing very supernatural, very strange abilities. And they kind of hint towards the emergence of a new species. And it's described as a richly funny and fantastical novel about the strangeness at the heart of even the most ordinary lives from one of South Korea's most acclaimed novelists. So I'm super excited about this one. I think it'll be really good. And also the cover, I'm obsessed with this. It looks awesome. So expect to see a little video, a sponsored segment on my channel. If you haven't already seen it, I'm basically working with Angry Robot Books on promoting this book, and that's just a disclaimer that this video obviously isn't sponsored, but I will be doing some sponsored work on this book, and I'm super excited. The next book I bought was Sorcery of Thorns, and this is by Margaret Rogerson. So I read Margaret Rogerson's first book, An Enchantment of Ravens, and that was kind of like a fairy romance. This one, I'm not really sure what it's about. I think it's like, is this supposed to be a retelling of like Sleeping Beauty with the thorns? Basically, the reason I bought this book is because I really liked Margaret Rogerson's like writing style, and I know that she has another book out at the minute called Vespertine. I really want to read that. I thought I'd read Sorcery of Thorns first. If you know anything about me, you know I'm a sucker for a YA romance, so this just sounded perfect, and despite the super shiny cover, I absolutely think this looks great. And I believe this is actually set in a magical library, so this is even more up my street. I cannot wait to read this very soon. Okay, so the next book is a proof copy that I was sent recently from Bloomsbury Books, and it is Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer. So Bridget Kemmerer is obviously the author of the Cursebreakers series, so A Curse, Dark and Lonely, and this is her new series called Defy the Night. And it says, from New York Times bestselling author Bridget Kemmerer comes a brand new blockbuster fantasy series about a corrupt kingdom, a star-crossed romance, and a girl who will do anything for justice. That sounds awesome. I adore any kind of fantasy book with a romance plot, as you guys probably know. So I did actually really enjoy the first book of the Cursebreakers series that Bridget Kemmerer writes. Basically, something happens at the end of that book where I was just a bit like, yeah, I don't really like the direction the series is going in. You probably will understand if you've read that series. I read the second book and I just didn't love it, so I do not think I'll be completing that series, but I am super keen to try Defy the Night and see if it is as good as the first book in the Cursebreakers series. So I think this is already out. It was out in September, so I'm very late to be talking about this book. But thank you so much to Bloomsbury for sending this one my way. So a few months back, I believe it was actually in like August, I took myself on a bit of a book shopping spree, and I went to Waterstones and picked up 3 books, and this is one of the first ones that I bought. This is The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. So the reason why I picked this up is because I have been seeing this everywhere. I remember Reagan from Peruse Project reading this, and a few other booktubers have like been talking about this book. So let me just quickly read you the blurb, because I don't really know a lot about it. I haven't read it yet, but I hope to. It says, trapped by her despotic brother within the crumbling walls of an ancient temple, Princess Malini dreams of vengeance. Meanwhile, maidservant Priya, forced to disavow her power and birthright because of her past, dreams of freedom. In a world beset by wild magic and turbulent uprising, their destinies will become irrevocably tangled, and together they will set an empire ablaze. So I believe this is a sapphic romance, which I'm just not reading a lot of sapphic romances lately, so I need to kind of change that up, and I'm really excited that this book is a fantasy book with a sapphic love story. So I'm super pumped for that. I think The Jasmine Throne will be epic. I have heard non-stop good things about this book, so I'm really excited to start this one. And next one, guys, I was suckered into the TikTok hype. I picked up my first ever Colleen Hoover book. I know. Basically, I have never read any Colleen Hoover, which is quite shocking to me because I'm a huge romance reader, and yet I've just never read any Colleen Hoover. So I picked up It Ends With Us. This is like so well known and hyped that I probably don't even need to explain what it's about. This is, I would say, like Colleen Hoover's like most popular of her novels, I believe. And I believe it's very dramatic, very emotional. And I believe that's really what Colleen Hoover is known for, just like her really emotional, dramatic stories. So, you know what, when I'm feeling like having a little bit of drama in my life, I will definitely be picking this one up because I think it actually sounds great, and I am keen to start reading Colleen Hoover. So do let me know what to read next after this one. If you're a Colleen Hoover fan, I would love to hear your thoughts. And the final book I picked up on that shopping trip was One Last Stop, and this is by Casey McQuiston. So in the past year, I read Red, White and Royal Blue. Absolutely loved that book. And this is Casey McQuiston's second book called One Last Stop. I believe this is a time travel romance. So like a girl goes back in time and basically like meets a girl from the present day, I think. Basically, this is a sapphic love story as well. And basically it's described as like a love story that's kind of lost in time because this girl from the 80s or whatever is there in present day and falls in love with a girl in the kind of modern day. So I'm super pumped about this. I think it actually like sounds amazing, and this was actually on my most anticipated list for 2020, so of course I have to pick this one up. Okay, so the next book I had pre-ordered, of course, I just had to. It is the special edition, I think it's the 10-year edition of The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So look at this book, guys. Look at the beauty of this book. It's even, where is it? Signed by Madeline Miller. Yeah, I had to pre-order this. When I saw it go live, I was like, it's an expensive book. It's like, I think it was like £20, £25 or something. But I was like, I don't care. I love The Song of Achilles so much. It's one of my all-time favorite books, and I just knew that I had to get this book. And you know, it's a special edition. Like, realistically, I'm not going to read this version, but it looks so pretty on my shelves, and I just know that it'll be an amazing thing for me to add to my collection. So I just had to get the special edition. I feel like you guys won't judge me. You're all book lovers here, so hopefully you will understand why I just had to get this edition. Okay, so the next two books are actually research for a novel that I'm actually writing at the minute. So the first one is John Keats by Nicholas Rowe, and the second one is Romantic Outlaws, The Extraordinary Lives of Mary Wollstonecraft and Mary Shelley by Charlotte Gordon. So these books are obviously both on kind of writers that were writing around the Romanticism era of poetry and writing. So John Keats is a romantic poet. He is my all-time favorite poet. I basically just adore this man and his poetry. Romantic Outlaws is actually about Mary Wollstonecraft and her daughter, Mary Shelley, who obviously was the wife of Percy Shelley, who was a romantic poet. So basically, I wanted to get these two as research. I'm not going to say too much about what my project is at the minute, because if you want to know more, you'll have to watch my NaNoWriMo 2021 video. I basically tell you guys a lot of information about my novel and what I'm writing, which is super exciting. But I bought these massive books because I just thought it'd be really helpful to dip into these, like when I'm kind of wanting some inspiration or research. So I bought both these books and I have no regrets. The next book is a book that I recently got through the post because I attended an event, a virtual event with these two authors, and it is The Clanlands Almanac by Sam Heughan and Graham McTavish, who all you Outlander fans out there will know are the stars of Outlander, and they are actually authors together. They write books about Scotland, and I am a massive fan of Scotland. Like, I am such a Scotophile. Is that a thing? Anyway, this book is basically an almanac, which means it takes each month of the year, and each month has like a quote, like a poem or something like that from a Scottish writer. Then it has a clan that's assigned to that month. So for example, January's clan is Clan Galloway, and it tells you what their motto is. It tells you where their lands are. And basically it says like key diary dates for January. And then it has some like dialogue between Graham and Sam. So if you know their kind of like friendship, they are very like, they just tease each other a lot basically, and they have a lot of great banter. So I am looking forward to reading this. I think I might read this before New Year, like in the time between Christmas and New Year, because it obviously starts in January, like this almanac. So I think that'd be amazing, and I'm a big fan of Scotland, so I think this will be perfect. But look how cute the book cover is. I'm just a big fan, so I knew I had to get that book, and I have no regrets. The next book that I got was Homebody by Rupi Kaur. So this is a poetry collection, and my lovely friend actually bought me this book, which I think is just like really cute, and I love this, so thank you, my dear Moira. Anyway, Homebody is, I believe it's like the second or third collection of poetry from Rupi Kaur, who wrote Milk and Honey. And obviously this is a poetry collection, so there's kind of like illustrations on the page as well. And honestly, like, I can imagine this will be amazing just sitting there on a Sunday afternoon, having a really quiet, chill day, and just like getting through this poetry collection. So I might have to do that sometime soon. It sounds amazing, and I've never actually read any of Rupi Kaur's work. I really missed out on the whole milk and honey trend, and like, because that book was so big. But I'm hoping that I really get along with Homebody and that I'll read it very, very soon. Okay, so the next 3 books are actually books that were kindly gifted to me from Vintage Books. I recently attended their vintage showcase or preview for books publishing next year in 2022. And these 3 books were actually in their kind of like goodie bag. So the first one is French Braid, and this one is by Anne Tyler, who is like the most celebrated novelist. Like, she is like won everything going. She won the Pulitzer Prize. Like, she is a celebrated novelist. I'm sure you've all heard of Anne Tyler, but this is her new novel called French Braid, and this proof is like a thing of beauty. I'm obsessed. Like, look at this. Oh, I am a big fan of a hardback proof, what can I say? And it's described as 57 years since her first novel, Anne Tyler remains a once-in-a-generation talent loved by readers and writers alike for her acutely observed chronicles of the extraordinary and everyday. So this is set in 1959, and apparently it all begins with a family holiday to a cabin by a lake. It's the only one the Garretts will ever take, but its effects will ripple through the generations. So this sounds amazing, and I'm very, very keen to read this. It's also quite short. Perfect. So thank you to Vintage for kindly gifting me this proof. The next one I have is the new Julian Barnes. So this is Elizabeth Finch, and it says, we'd like to introduce you to Elizabeth Finch. We invite you to take her course in culture and civilization. Her ideas are not to everyone's taste, but she will change the way you see the world. So this book is actually out in April 2022, and the Anne Tyler is out in March 2022. So thanks again for Vintage for sending me the new Julian Barnes, who is of course a very celebrated writer. And then we have the new poetry collection, I believe, from Warsan Shire, Bless the Daughter, Raised by a Voice in Her Head. So I don't really know a lot about Warsan Shire, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name properly. I think this is probably more of a sampler than a full collection. It is a proof copy. So Warsan Shire is a Somali British writer and a poet born in Nairobi and raised in London. So I'm very, very excited about this. I think, you know, I need to read more poetry, evidently. So thank you to Vintage for sending this one my way as well. So we are getting towards the end now, I promise. The next book I wanted to haul is one that I bought the moment I finished the first book in the series. It is Blood and Honey by Shelby Maharin. The first book, Serpent and Dove, was chef's kiss. Everything I wanted in a dark, witchy fantasy novel. I read it around Halloween. It was perfect. The romance was 10 out of 10, guys. I am obsessed with it. So Blood and Honey is the sequel, and I've heard really like mixed things about the sequel, and now I'm kind of like, I should not have gone on Goodreads and looked at the reviews. Please reassure me if you've read Blood and Honey that it's not as bad as everyone's saying, because a lot of people are like, this is a bit of a filler book, and I'm sorry, but this is too big to be a filler book. There are, how many pages? There are over 500 pages in this, so I'm really hoping that, you know, it isn't really bad, because I adored the first book, Serpent and Dove. I won't kind of go into the plot of that, but basically it is about a witch who has to marry a witch hunter. You can imagine how that's gonna go. Basically, it's a very dark, very delicious series. I am obsessed with the first book, and I really hope Blood and Honey lives up to how amazing that first book was. Okay, so the next 2 books were kindly gifted to me from Pan Macmillan, so thank you guys for sending these proofs my way. The first book is New Animal by Ella Baxter. So this book is described as deadpan, wise, and heartbreakingly funny, and it is Ella Baxter's debut. So I'm super, super excited about this book. It also is quite a slim volume, but it sounds really exciting. I don't know, it's about kind of a woman who, it sounds like her life is a bit of a mess. So I'm really keen to read this one, and I will let you guys know what I think. This one comes out in February 2022. So thank you to Pan Mac for sending this one my way. And then, guys, we have Devotion by Hannah Kent, who is, of course, the author of Burial Rites, which was like super huge a few years back. So this is actually set in 1830s Prussia. and it says, from the best-selling author of Burial Rites and The Good People, Devotion is a stunning story of girlhood and friendship, faith and suspicion, and the impossible lengths we would go to for the ones we love. So that sounds like amazing, and I'm very, very keen to read this book because I have heard amazing things about Hannah Kent, and Devotion is published in February. Okay, we're on to the last book of this haul. It feels like I've been sitting on the floor for hours, guys. Anyway, it's been enjoyable. I've got all these books next to me. It's fine. The last book I had to buy, and I'm not ready for it yet. I haven't started reading it yet because I know it will break me. It is The Burning God in paperback by R.F. Kuang. So, I started reading the Poppy War series last year. I've read the first 2 books and both of them were 5 out of 5 stars. I just can't how incredible this book series is. The Burning God is the conclusion to that series, and if you know how the second book kind of finished off, you will know that where do we go from here? Like, this book is going to be intense. So I absolutely adored The Poppy War, which is a Chinese inspired fantasy. I believe it's inspired by the Opium Wars, and it is grimdark fantasy, so the characters do things that are very morally grey. They are not perfect characters by any means. They do very dark things. Basically, this series takes a bit of a, not a stomach to read, because like, it's extremely well written and beautiful and has a lot of light relief on the pages as well, but oh my god, does it take a lot to read this book. And you know, like, a lot of horrors are revealed in this series. So I am like nervous about The Burning God because I'm terrified of how the series will end. But both The Poppy War and The Dragon Republic, that's the second one, have, like, they were just amazing. 5 out of 5 stars, 10 out of 10, you know, just perfect. So I'm a bit nervous about starting this one, but hopefully I will by the end of the year, and I'll let you guys know my thoughts. So guys, that is it for today's book haul. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, and if you've made it to the end, well done, because this was a very long book haul. So that's it for me today. Don't forget to subscribe if you did enjoy this video, and I have some really exciting videos coming up that I really, really hope you will love. So please do subscribe, turn that notification bell on, and don't forget to follow me on social media. My links are all down in the description bar below. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.